Raghu, great to see you again and welcome to Smartling's 2025 Global Ready Conference. I'm really excited to chat with you about how technology is affecting your strategy, and I know this audience will take away some incredible insights from you on how to stay ahead. Are you ready?
I am. And Brian, thanks for having me today. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. That's my Global Ready joke right there, by the way. That's I've that and a couple dad jokes. That's as good as I got.
Got
Uh,
it. Got it.
Great. All right. So starting off, so talk to us a little bit about what problems are you trying to solve this year?
Yeah, it's a really good question. At MongoDB, first of all, we're just very pleased to be considered as a enterprise class modern database platform. And where we are today is we have over 55,000 customers and we have about 175,000 new developers that join us every single month. So we know data, we know how to work with data. And our goal really is to help our customers and our users build the next generation of AI applications using MongoDB as the technology. And so, in the world of learning, which is the area that I manage, the charter is very similar. If you think about learning, it's a human experience. We as humans learn differently. We want to make sure that we cater to traditional learning methods, but also recognize that AI has opened up a lot of new ways to learn. And so when someone reaches out to me and says, Raghu, how do I learn about MongoDB? I'd say, you can read it, go to our documentation, go through our books and read it if that's what you want to do. You can watch it, where you can watch our videos with our online courses. You can try it. You can just play with the technology directly and use it through our hands-on lab experiences. You can achieve it. Maybe you want to earn a skill badge. Maybe you want to get certified. And that's your motivator for learning. And so all those are traditional ways to learn. And now we have what I call Ask It, where you can ask an AI chatbot and have a conversation with an AI bot and learn that way too. And that's something that we do today also. So it's just recognizing that, learning is changing and AI is speeding that up. And it's a good thing. And so I think for me, we're very happy to see that happen. And just to double click on AI for a moment, I think it's important to recognize that the way the engines like, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Google, et cetera, are providing information is also rapidly changing. So, in the old days, and when I say old days, it's like 9 months ago, you'd do a search on Google and you'd get a bunch of blue links, and then you'd maybe choose the first, second, or third blue link to research more information. But now you go to Google and it starts giving you summaries. And so providing summaries or answers is another way to learn because people get their information quickly and they kind of go from there. So this is a real shift. And so it's important for folks that are in this space to recognize that this is another way for people to get information. For MongoDB, we want to make sure that A, our content is accurate in these answers, and that B, that we're even visible, in the content. I think that's really important where we need to be. So these are the things that we're looking at from a macro learning perspective. And, in everything I just described, translations is key. It's the underpinning of all these things because in the end, what we do for English needs to also happen in Mandarin and Portuguese and in all the other languages that we want to support. So for us, we're just really excited to work with you all because two reasons. One is I think you help us get to new markets, and we've seen that demonstrably in Asia Pacific and Latin America. But the second thing is we're innovating very quickly. That's kind of how we operate, and you do the same. And so for us, that's a natural synergistic, relationship. So it's exciting times. I think it's one of those things where AI is moving fast, and I think we need to buckle in and join the ride.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Yeah, I think that's a great way to summarize it. The technology, 9 months ago seems forever. It's evolving
Yeah.
so quickly. When you think about AI, right? What's been the impact of AI? And getting back to translation, what's been the impact of AI on in or on translation for MongoDB? Would you say?
It's been substantial, I would say. First of all, as I mentioned in the last question, we you could see that learners are getting impacted by AI. And when I say impacted, I mean in a good way. I think the behavior of learning is shifting. So that's a good thing to recognize. The second thing is we're seeing a lot of efficiencies in how we create content now using AI. So whether you're creating a course or a web page or a piece of content or a PDF or whatever it might be, AI can create drafts for you. And so what I like to tell my team is, if you're trying to run a 100-yard dash, again, in the old days, like 9 months ago, you'd create the content from scratch. So you'd run the entire 100 yards, just to get that content out the door. Now AI can spot you 50 yards, 60 yards, and give you a summary right from the get-go. And then we can use our human talent to really fine-tune that and run the last 40 yards of that race. But because we're only running 40 yards in that example, what it means is we can run more races, right? We can create more content, as a result of that. And so again, here translation is key. And for us, we've been very pleased with how you all use AI in your own platform. I think the AI HT capability has been great because it sort of combines AI with human translation. So for pages that are super critical, you want to get those right all the time. That's a great modality to pursue. But then, in our documentation side, for example, we have 25,000 pages. And so having an MT capability, a machine translation capability, is huge because when you want to do things at scale, you need something like that. So you've got both pieces in place. And I've been really pleased with the fact that you use multiple engines also in your translation algorithms. And so taking the best of class for the problem that's at hand, I think has been excellent. And I think for us, that's been huge. So yeah, so I'm really pleased with the AI innovation on both ends.
Great. Let me ask you a question because this is something that comes up a lot, and I know is on the mind of a lot of people probably listening to this conversation. How do you think about the trade-off between quality and volume? How do you make those decisions around, okay, this has got to be human in the loop, this could be machine translation. What are you trying to solve for there, would you say?
Such a great question. I remember doing my first translation project about 15 plus years ago, and I remembered how painful it was to get it done, and the quality wasn't great, and there were all kinds of issues that went with it. But it was a human translation effort back, 15 years ago. I mean, fast forward now, I mean, the risk of translation has gone down dramatically, I would say. And, as an example, we have the site that I mentioned is 25,000 pages. We've rolled this out in multiple languages and we have hardly any issues with it at all to speak of. So that's, a testament to what you guys do, but it's also just a testament to how the technology has evolved, quite a bit. So the way we look at it is, when you have a lot of content that you're trying to translate, identify the stuff that really gets visible, that's seen a lot by people, and maybe use an AI HT effort to sort of do that up front because that's got both the AI and the human translation component. What we've done is that, in our world, there's a lot of jargon, a lot of keywords and technology terms and what have you. So we've invested in a glossary so that all those terms are highly micromanaged and the translation quality is pretty much 100%, for those things. So when you do the glossary combined with AIHT for your popular pages, and then just leave the rest to MT, you're really building that foundation up front, because that foundation up front really gives you high quality MT downstream. And that's what we've experienced. That investment has really paid off in a very, very big way.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think that's one of the learnings that, we've gotten out of this. And, my experience, building e-commerce and software companies over the past 25 years is the Pareto principle always factors in. And so, I always recommend, in your high volume pages, the one that are super impactful, will get seen by a lot of people, invest in those pages with AI human translation, right? Top quality. And then, customers get an incredible amount of value out of translated and localized content, right? So you want to, don't hide that, make that available. And, neural machine translation or AI translation is oftentimes a very suitable solution for those things. And I also say there's also the exception rule. If someone
Mhm.
calls in and says, "Hey, listen, this isn't translated right," it's the kind of thing you can fix. You
Yeah.
know, Right. So I think, in my opinion, you want to create that really great customer experience and allow them access in their preferred language, and that's what really moves the needle. And then you can always refine from there. And I think that's a great approach and sensible approach that you guys have taken. When you think about how have you approached experimentation and the implementation of new solutions? How do you track and communicate the impact of your programs or these innovations internally?
Yeah, it's such a great question. And in our space, we're not shy to experiment. We do a lot of that. It's just part of how we think. And it's a bit of a mindset thing, first of all, to be comfortable to do that. And the reason we do that is because in my space, the learning space, there is no one size fits all solution for all learners. Again, we all learn differently. And we also are catering to multiple audiences too. So maybe someone's more technical, maybe someone's less technical. So again, what works for one audience may not work for somebody else. So we do a lot of experimentation in our world to figure out what makes sense. So that's sort of point number one. Point number two is we're very comfortable with different styles of content also. So maybe some people want straight text, some people want Q&A content, some people want more executive summaries. So just being flexible to be able to do that, I think is really, really important. And so for us, when we communicate these things, we use what are called North Star metrics in our organization. And what that is very simply is a maximum of three metrics that we track. And they're all numeric, typically. And we use that as our common language across everything. So in my world, it's quality, and we have a numeric score for quality, a number of users who look at our content. So that's another numeric number. And then a third metric is a number of people getting some kind of badge, maybe a skill or a certification or something of that nature. And yes, we track another 20, 30 metrics under the table. We do that all the time. But in the end, just having three simple metrics is pretty important because if you get those right, then chances are the others will work out themselves. And so we applied the same philosophy to translations. So for all of our international sites, we use the exact same three metrics to measure the effectiveness of the sites, and we just stay steady in the communication. I think it's really important to do that, and just recognize that it's the answer may vary by country. So what's good in one country may be different in other countries. So your tactics may have to be a little bit different. But I think the North Star metrics sort of remain and that consistency remains. So having that leadership practice is something that's really served us very, very well.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's something that we're encouraging our customers to do more and more, which is to tie translation localization outcomes to business metrics and KPIs, right? And be able to track that way. And that aligns you with the business. And I think it creates opportunities for translation localization organizations that to increase funding, all of those kind of things. But I love that idea of really keeping it simple and having a simple dashboard of
Yeah.
two or three really important KPIs or metrics that you're going to be measuring. As you reflect on the advancements of the past year, what advice would you offer others looking to adapt to and adopt new approaches?
Yeah, this year's moved by very fast with AI. And so I think there's probably two or three things. One is I would first of all encourage everyone to embrace AI and just recognize that it's here to stay and it's going to change the way we do business. Sometimes AI is complementary to what we do, and sometimes AI can be a bit disruptive to what we do. And I think it's important to recognize that AI is both. It can speed up things you do well today. It can also disrupt things that's in your business model. So we take a view that, we want to do both, meaning use it for what works, but then beyond that, invent new ways to do things with the disruption side of it. So I think just being able to embrace that as a leadership mindset, I think is really important. I think it's important to also realize that, AI varies. So in other words, users go to different engines. They may go to answer engines like a ChatGPT or Perplexity. They may go to a search engine like a Google, for example. They may go to a coding engine like a Copilot. So everyone's experience with AI is a little bit different. And underneath each of those engines is an LLM of some sort. So you're thinking, for example, OpenAI or Gemini or Claude or something like that. And underneath that are the different versions. And so you can have Claude version 3, 4, 5, whatever. And so the thing to realize is that the AI LLM technology is improving rapidly along the way. So it's important not to broad brush AI. Just understand where your users are and where they're going, and just do a check on their AI experience, but do it at that level of granularity. Understand the engines, understand the LLMs, understand the versions, because the answer will be different. Because AI, just by its nature, is probabilistic in nature, and so the probability of you getting something today will be different than what you get tomorrow. So I think embracing that style, I think, will be very valuable. I think the second thing I would say is content is even more important than ever before. So, there is sort of a simplistic view that says, well, AI is creating a lot of content. Yes, but AI is doing it because it's learning from the content that you provide it. So, the more content you provide it, the more AI is going to learn, and the better the answers are, I should say, coming out at the other end for the user. So, this is a time to double down on your content investments, double down on different styles of content, text content, questions, Q&A, whatever works for your business. You should recognize that you need to have all of it. And these LLMs consume this content. And, I like to tell my team internally, we're in the business of training humans and robots now, just recognize that humans are the other end of that robot, so you're reaching humans no matter what, at the end of the day. So, and once again, translation is the underpinning of all this also. So recognizing that, AI learning in Japan may be a little bit different than AI learning in China, maybe different than AI learning in Brazil. So the answer you see in English, you need to double check it, triple check it for other translations also. Again, and so this is why I've always been excited to work with you all, because you're very innovative in these things and you're flexible, and we can make adjustments along the way for different markets. So I would say embrace AI, embrace content, embrace translations, and just recognize these are critical things.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. And it's really interesting when we look at the adoption of our AI hub. There's such interest in you raise a great point around the variability of the different engines, and right. So we're in the process of benchmarking dozens of different engines, making those available to customers like yourself to use, or creating a platform that allows customers to bring their own LLMs, what we call bring your own key. And all of that within, a tool set or a framework that's the Smartling translation management platform that gives them this framework to effectively use these large language models, whether we're providing them or you're bringing your own, leveraging our engineering prompts, creating your own, all of that. And I think that's endemic of the phase of this new technology that we're in. Everyone's, very much looking to find what is the most optimal way of leveraging this really remarkable technology. And so it's a fun place to be for us right now as we help our customers on this journey to maximize their translation, localization, effectiveness, and productivity using AI.